Hey, Dave Whitney joining you here again for another one of these little sessions we have together from time to time. And we're going to talk today about breaking your playing up to make it more interesting. So, in my personal experience, right, if I'm playing, and I'm going to pick on sweep picking because this is I'm the worst at doing this ever, is you know, if you have a sweep picking thing, whatever it may be, right? You just tend to keep going in a continual rhythmic sequence. Like this is all 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And, you know, like you might work on that. You might work on that sort of thing for ages. You might, you know, work on your triplet. To get this whole thing happening with your sweep picking, because that might be a goal. But once you've got there and you start doing that and you've done that for a little while, you start going a little bit, oh, I like this, and so will other players who've been there. And you know, and I've got friends who are honest with me. And when I was playing like that, they were saying, Dave, boring. Good, but boring. And I really appreciate that kind of feedback because I agree with them. So how do I not throw away everything I've worked towards? How do I use it, but how do I make it so that to them it's interesting? Okay, so that it's more musical. And the simplest tool you can use is rhythm. Break up the rhythm. Okay, so let's use an example. I'm going to play here a C minor 7 add 9 arpeggio, right? Sounds like that. Now, I love arpeggios that have added things. Major and minor is just not interesting enough. It doesn't have enough flavour. But anyway, so here's our basic arpeggio. It's based around 16 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay? So that's the actual structure of it, how it's designed to rotate in a sweep picking fashion. Now what I want to do with it is break the rhythm up. It now has a triplet feel. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you see I'm playing one note in place of the first triplet. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And it's more interesting. Okay. Now that still brings me back at the start of every bar to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. It still brings me back to 1 on the root note. If I want to be a little more out there, I can make the rhythm a little more out there. And the way I would do that is to use a number that was not divisible by 8, 16, 32, something like that. So, you know, they're even numbers. Really, I want to use an odd number like 5. 5 is a great number. 7 is another great number. So if I was to use 5 with this, it would be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here would be, you know, it would feel like where it needed to start again, but it won't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very, very tricky for me to say it and think about it at the time. I feel like it's such a retard when I'm doing this, but perhaps if I do it with a backing track, you'll get a better idea. Okay, I'm going to put on a backing track. I'm going to slow it right down here. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let me get rid of this. Okay, so I'm just going to have that on, right? and I'll do 5. Right, still the same thing. Here's the so I have my basic rhythm, my I might try 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so you get the idea, right? By mixing around the timing. Now, it's a simple way of utilising what you already know, but it may be a little tricky to start with because obviously you're not going to be starting and finishing on the same notes as you're probably used to starting and finishing on. So if you were to take that concept and expand it, right, so that it was more than just one arpeggio, yeah, so that you can really break it up. Then it would start to sound a little more interesting. For example, if I take what I just played there, which is an E flat minor 9, E flat, sorry, it is a C minor 7 add 9, right, and then it is a C minor arpeggio, and on the top, and an E flat major arpeggio, all put together. So if I take that and I break the rhythm up, instead of it sounding like this, okay, it would sound perhaps more like this. Okay, for example, or interesting, right? It's not so so predictable, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say here is losing that predictability can make it like more interesting because you have to listen. You have to go, what is he doing? What is he playing? I mean, I really am not modifying what I'm playing very much from my original concept, which is okay. So. Or something like that, I know. I'm pretty much winging this. So yeah, it's a very, very simple concept. Now, whichever way you look at it, even if you take your normal, arpeggios that you might be playing, and you vary the timing a little bit, right? Make it a little more interesting. Yeah. Then when you go back to playing your it has a different feel. It sounds like two separate things. You know it's the same thing, right? You know it's the same thing. Your ear tells you that's the same thing. He's going. Your ear is telling you it's the same thing, but it sounds more interesting. How about... Yeah, I mean, you could you could skip down the garden path singing that rubbish, but it's more interesting, and I don't think you could argue that point. Love it or hate it is not the point. More interesting, definitely. So anyway, try to think more rhythmically. And you know, I remember watching a Paul Gilbert video once, and Paul was all about speed, and Paul's a great player. And I would, you know, think most people would like to be able to play like Paul. But the thing is, even Paul at some point realised rhythmically it wasn't too interesting. And I think some players who were Paul's peers might have picked on that a little bit with Paul. And him being a mature player actually took that on board and started playing more, less flashy but more musical stuff. And you know, he's such a talented guy. That when he started doing that, it really took his playing to a whole other level. And it wasn't just flashy speed, which a lot of people relate to because that's the level they're on. But you know, Paul grew, and it was so nice to see, so nice to see, and so nice to follow a player, you know, as he grows like that and do things and make you go, wow, that's so much more than what he was doing in that last video or whatever. So thank you very much for watching with me. You know what, like I say, I'm just making the stuff up as I go here, just to try and give you some insight into the ugliness of the inside of my brain. And I hope you enjoyed the little bit that smushed its way out through my mouth today and onto the fretboard. All mistakes are intentional, as always, and there are plenty of them. So anyway, use the concepts, see what you can do to make your playing more interesting. Till next time, thank you very, very much, and do take care. Ah, that's the wrong button. This is what happens when you don't get organised. See ya.